Hi everyone, I welcome the new subscribers to my channel. A quick reminder for my current and new subscribers. Please note that when you're watching the YouTube shorts, do read the description as most of the YouTube shorts are linked to the tutorials that I have already covered. How was my last tutorial about the different means of transport in the German language and also some verbs in German related to travel? Do write your comments in the comment section. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to introduce you to a new category of German verbs which are called the separable verbs. I have mentioned one such separable verb in my tutorial 6, but the grammar of these verbs I will now show you. So please have a look at my tutorial 14, in which I introduced the German grammar cases, and tutorial 35, in which I revised the cases and introduced to you the dative case in German language, and also have a look at my tutorial 21, in which I have mentioned how to conjugate the regular verbs, and also I have mentioned the conjugation pattern of some irregular verbs. So regular and irregular verbs I have been showing till now. So moving on, separable verbs are called trennbare Verben in German. Trennbar is the adjective which means separate, and interestingly, the separable verbs in German can be regular and they can also be irregular. The verbs that I'm going to show you in this tutorial are verbs actually related to my last tutorial 36 about the transport means and travel related verbs. Einsteigen, aussteigen, and umsteigen. Now verbs are called separable verbs when part of the verb, usually a 2 or 3 letter word in the beginning of the verb, separates from the main verb and is positioned usually at the end of the German sentences and questions. So, boarding any means of transport or getting into or stepping into any means of transport is called einsteigen. Getting out of some means of transport is aussteigen, and changing one means of transport to another, so changing from one train to another train, it can be the same means of transport, but it can also be changing from a bus to a train or from a taxi to a train, in which case it will be umsteigen. The main verb in these three verbs is steigen, which means to step. From that comes step in, step out, and change of transport. So, because these verbs are regelmäßig or regular, therefore the conjugation pattern will be like this, as it is for all German regular verbs. Ich steige ein, ich steige aus, ich steige For you, informal, so casually talking to someone, du steigst ein, du steigst aus, du steigst For you, formal, sie steigen ein, sie steigen aus, sie steigen And this is how it goes for the rest of the personal pronouns. He, she, it, er, sie, es, steigt ein, aus or Wir steigen ein, aus or Two or more people that I'm addressing directly or I'm talking to directly. Ihr steigt ein, aus or Sie steigen ein, aus or In a sentence or question, this is how they will be positioned. Steigst du in einen Bus ein? Are you boarding a bus? Ja, ich steige in einen Bus ein. So, the main part of the verb is at the beginning of the question and the prefix, as it is called, the 2 or 3 letter word comes at the end of the question. In the same way, in a sentence, the prefix will come at the end of the sentence. The verb will come after the main personal pronoun. And note that the verbs that I'm showing you in this tutorial make use of the accusative case, which I have covered in my tutorials 14 and 35. So moving on, then we have another set of regular and separable verbs: to arrive and to fetch. And by fetch I mean fetching or picking up someone, not something. Note that this verb kommen in German exists on its own also, and kommen is a regular German verb and it is to come. But adding an before kommen makes it a different verb and it becomes to arrive. They will be positioned in the questions and sentences just like I showed you in the example before. For all these personal pronouns, ich komme an, ich hole ab, du kommst an, du holst ab. Sie kommen an, sie holen ab. Sie es kommt an, sie es holt ab. Wir kommen an, wir holen ab. Ihr kommt an, ihr holt ab. Sie kommen an, sie holen ab. Let's first look at some more separable verbs. But this time, the separable verbs are not regular, they are irregular. Unregelmäßig. The verb fahren I mentioned in my previous tutorial to mean to drive a vehicle, but it is also used in German to ride a bicycle, if you remember. Putting ein before fahren changes the meaning of this verb. Einfahren means to drive into. At this level, the meaning of einfahren that you need to know is the meaning of a train driving into or arriving at a certain train station. So that is the meaning that you need to know for now for einfahren. Abfahren is to drive off. So it is used for cars, buses, trains. Since fahren is irregular, it will be conjugated like this, but the prefix ein and ab will come at the end of German questions and at the end of the German sentences, just like in the examples that I've mentioned before. Just the conjugation of fahren will be different. Ich fahre ein or ich fahre ab. Du fährst ein or ab. Sie fahren ein or ab. Sie es fährt ein or ab. Wir fahren ein or ab. Ihr fahrt ein or ab. Sie fahren ein or ab. And last of all is the verb, which is a simple irregular verb. It is not separable. It is just irregular. Verb which can be used not only with transportation but in other contexts also. To take in German is nehmen. So, ich nehme, du nimmst, sie nehmen, sie es nimmt. Wir nehmen, two or more people, ihr nehmt. They take, sie nehmen. So now these verbs that I've just covered will come in a hopefully interesting dialogue in the second part. So do stay updated for a dialogue in part 2 of the tutorial. Thank you.